Hello everyone and welcome to this Video Sans Frontières video. My name is Jay Wakefield. Today we're going to be looking at a laptop. Now this isn't some machine that I've just plucked from eBay for, a reasonable price or even an unreasonable price. This is one of my old machines. Let me tell you a wee bit of story about it. In the UK, when students with disabilities start university, they can be eligible from something from the student loans company called Disabled Students Allowance. Now, this is not a repayable loan. This is in fact a grant. What would happen is a student with disabilities, towards the start of their university life, should we say. Well, when I say that, it should usually be in the first semester of the first year, or if they're really on the ball, before. Usually when a student goes for this disabled students allowance, they will have an assessment of needs, and this will determine what difficulties a student has that puts them at an unfair advantage to their peers. Now, unfortunately, when I first started university, I had a laptop. It was a cheap one that I'd got for school the previous year, an Advent 7083. Now there's mistake number one, buying an Advent. But I had this machine, and it had seen me basically through the last couple of terms at school. And it had seen me through the summer holidays as well. I'd taken it away with me a few times and, just always had it to hand. However, the machine didn't necessarily last for too long. When I went to my first lecture at university, it broke down. I switched it on, I was away to start at Word 2003, and then it went broke. So, as a result, it blue-screened, switched it off, tried to switch it back on again, nothing. Took the battery out, put it back in, nothing. The machine was just dead, completely dead as a doornail. So I had no machine, so I had to borrow one from the university. But when I went for my assessment of needs, what they generally do is, like I said, they will see where you have needs that puts you at an unfair disadvantage, and if required, they will buy in any equipment or services needed. Now for me, this meant having a new laptop to be able to take notes, among other things. I got some software with it, Office 2003. I got Zoom Text. I got a mini disc player to record notes as well. Pretty good stuff. So I took delivery of this machine on December the 18th, 2006, along with all of my other stuff. Basically, a man in a van turned up, and, well, it was basically just like Christmas. And I got this machine really quite good at the time. This has a badge that you may never have seen before. It is an Ergo. Now, Ergo are an English company based in Nottingham, who build laptops based on pre-existing machines. This machine, it's basically like what they do in the car industry. They'll have a floor pan, and then they'll build multiple cars on said floor pan. So, for example, let's say you had the 2005 Ford Focus. The 2004 Mazda 3 was actually based off of the 2005 Ford Focus. They had that floor pan. Ford had that floor pan in development, and because they owned Mazda at the time, they were able to build the two cars off of the floor pan. General Motors do it quite often with some of their cars. As do Volkswagen. The Skoda Fabia, for example, is based on the Volkswagen Polo. But I've not necessarily seen this done in the laptop industry before. But I know that for a long time, you could buy Asus laptops with other people's badges on it. Some of you will have seen my video about the high-grade Notino AS7400. That was based on the Asus 7400. Which basically, it looked exactly the same. And we'll come back to the floor pan thing later. But this is an Ergo Ensis 211, which is based off of the Asus A3F machine. So let's have a wee look at the ports, shall we? I'll just unplug it just for a wee minty there. Teacups do have another use. I can just make sure secure the wire so it doesn't go skating to the floor. Okay, so let's have a look. On the left hand side we have 10100 Ethernet, RJ11 modem port, two USB 2 ports, headphone, microphone and line in, mini firewire, SD card slot with a dummy SD card in it. Let's see what it says. It says dummy card. Who are you calling a dummy card? Oh, I'm going to show you who's a dummy card. No, stay calm, Jay. Stay calm. Don't rise to it. An infrared port. Oh, and underneath the SD card slot is a regular, good old-fashioned PCM CIA card slot. And you can see here why you should never buy a painted laptop. The silver paint came off. On the front we have the catch for releasing the lid. See? And then if we go and have a look at the other side, we have a DVD RW drive. Very fancy holographic letters, which is nice. Does that say multi? I don't know. And then on the back of the machine, yes, this was probably one of the last machines to feature ports on the back. We have a vent, the power supply, which is up in the air. Usually it's down in line with all the rest of the ports, but in this one it's up in the air, and that always confused me a bit. But then it just became, kind of got used to it. I wonder how I ever did without a power supply port, a DC in jack up in the air. Then we have TV out, S-video out, sorry. VGA. Some slot covers that make it look as though there could be other parts on this machine, but they don't seem to be there. Docking station connector, and two more USB 2 ports. So this machine is a wee bit legacy free. So there you have it. And the reason it's skiting across the table is because all the rubber feet have gone missing over the years. That's high quat. Okay, so I'm going to plug it back in, because it's needed plugged in. So, if we have a look on the inside, we see a 15-inch 4x3 screen. My Advent, just for the record, was actually a 16 by 10 screen, 1280 by 800. So going back to a 4x3 was quite odd. And there's a microphone. You could get these with a webcam, at least certainly on the Asus model. I think you could on the Ergos as well. This machine is also branded as an RM. Now, here's the power button. There's some switches here for internet. Jings, I forget. Oh yeah, internet, email, disabling the trackpad, and the power for gear button, which is it's actually really quite good as a power for gear option. I'll show you that in a wee minty. Brilliant option. Then you've got status LEDs, usual power. I believe there's actually caps lock and num lock. The indicators are down here, so you've got power, battery charging light, and here's one that you don't ever see: the mail light. I've only seen these on some Asus machines and the Packard Bell Easy One Silver machines, and I don't even think that was an LED. I think that may have just been the light, but I mean the colour of the LED, the colour of the button, suggested that there might be an LED under it. And we also have the wireless button thing, the wireless indicator. And here we have a media player button, back, forward, stop, play, pause. Now if I press this button, I could actually insert an audio CD and play it, but I don't have one to hand at the moment. Sad times. For some reason it always doesn't necessarily always turn off. Hang on a minute, let me see if I can find one. And a CD, Foster and Allen, Unchained Melodies. For those of you who've listened to my Drawing the Weekend to a Close show on Rockin' Waves in the past, I will have exposed you to these guys during the Celtic Corner. Because they are in fact Irish. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the CD player back on. As you can see, there's no activity from the screen. However, watch this. Haha! Pause. Go back. And then stop. And that's all you're getting, because I don't wish for the copyright mafia to come bearing down on me with the fullest extent of their powers. But there you have it. You can actually put the laptop into a mode where it will just act like a CD player. Now this paved the way on some Asus machines for the quick modes where you could, it was just basically some very light distro of Linux with a web browser and what have you, and you could just go into that and, have a good go on that. So you're not having to power up the entirety of the machine. I would have liked to have seen a DVD player. That would have been quite neat. Anyway, so I've switched off the CD player. That light is off. And now I'm going to turn the camera light off and we're going to power the machine up properly. Before we do though, I'd like to draw your attention to the keyboard. Now this machine may look like it's got its original keyboard, apart from those, some of the more observant of you that will have noticed there's two power for gear keys. One is up there and the other one appears to be FN and spacebar. Now on the Asus A3F, that would be the case. And maybe it is on here as well if I install the right set of drivers. But on here, the power for gear key is up here. Now, why have I got the two power for gear keys if one doesn't work? Well, my mum had this machine for a while as our recording machine to transfer stuff from VHS to DVD. But when my compact CQ61 died, I needed a machine. And I was headed down to visit her anyway. So I got this machine. And I went down again and spent Christmas with them. And on the road back up to Aberdeen, I had, previously I'd bought a thermos flask. And on the road up to Aberdeen, I was sat with the machine watching some Simpsons, and I was thinking, I could pure go for a cup of tea right about now. So I left my thermos flask down from the luggage rack, only to find that somehow the glass inside of it has smashed. So the plastic would not actually hold the tea. So it leaked everywhere, on the floor, on the seats, on the table, and on the computer keyboard. Now the rest of the machine is fine. But unfortunately, the original keyboard that went to this computer died. Now, Ergo Ensis 211 machines aren't the most common. They're usually bought. Ergo usually sells to businesses. The machines are quite a bit more expensive, and they're usually often bought in bulk. So, well, I don't know about bought in bulk, but I was unable to get an exact keyboard. But because this machine was based off of the A3F, I was able to at least get one of their keyboards and install it. And it's installed perfectly fine, which I'm really quite pleased about. So, with the keyboard installed, let's power it on. Oh yeah, blue ring around the power button. How mid-2000s can you get? And that's an Asus boot up sound, is that? Now, the specs of this machine, Intel Centrino Duo, which has a core duo running at 2.0 gigahertz. It originally came to me with a gig of RAM, but I've upgraded it to 2 gigs in 2008, and then over Christmas I gave it 3 gigs. Also, it has an Intel 945 graphics chipset. Isn't the best graphics in the world, but it'll do. It also has 15-inch XGA display, 1024 by 768, and an 80GB hard drive. Now, the hard drive, I believe, is sapping a lot of the performance out of this machine. It's an 80 gig drive, which for 2006 was not bad in a laptop. However, the problem lies in the speed of the drive. It's only a 4200! Laptop hard drives, the best mechanical ones you can usually get are 5400. So, the fact that this is a 4200, it really is not doing the machine any favours at all. So here's the machine. I installed the printer, and we'll have a look at power for gear. Now, I'd originally set it back up for Mum, as I was going to send it down the road once I'd got a replacement for my HP Compact. However, I've actually been asked by Action on Disability to teach someone how to use computers. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually teach them using this. But before I can do that, I'm going to put Windows 7 on it. I'm going to have the 32-bit version. Going to be a wee bit slow, but Windows XP is fast going out of support. And that is a problem. And I can't really do much with this machine until it's loaded. And it's not gonna load, it's terrible. Oh, here we go. I'm not currently on the internet with it. But at the moment it's got Office 2003 on it. I'll show you that. This actually came to me with Office 2003 on it, so there you have it. Now, power for gear then. What is it? Basically, it's a system where you can choose the power plan that you're using. On Windows 7, you'd click on the battery and choose between power saver and balanced. But Asus has a couple of tricks up its sleeve. If you press this button, you've got high performance, game, quiet office, presentation, super performance. Now, you've got all of these modes that will reset the power options. It'll basically control the speed of the processor, control how long it is before the display turns off, the speed of the fans, and basically all of those kind of options. So for example, if you're on presentation mode, you won't want the display to turn off. Whereas if you're in quiet office, you might not need so much processing power, so it dials it down. Whereas super performance or game, you know, it'll dial everything right the way up, so you can play some games. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good option, actually. And I must admit, I do like the on-screen display when it works. For example, brightness down, brightness up, LCD off. So you can actually use this with the backlight off. You can actually pick it up there. So if let's see if I can move my mouse pointer around. See, there you go. There's a mouse pointer. There you go. And you might wonder, why would I ever use the display with the light off? You might choose to do such a thing outside, where you could probably see the display, but the backlight isn't going to make any difference, and it's actually going to be a lot easier if you have it off. Have it switched off. Right. And then you've also got LCD only. If I was connected to a monitor, these options would change. The volume, and then you've got volume up and down, and stuff like that. So there you have it. I'm really sorry I can't show you much more on this machine. But there it is, the Ergo Ensis 211 laptop computer with a great big Ubuntu sticker on it that I put on in 2007, 2008. So I had Ubuntu running on it for a while. Not bad. Not a bad wee runner. Anyway, that is, this concludes this video, some Frontier video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please feel free to subscribe. The URL for my channel will be following, as will the Facebook URL, which you can navigate to if you like what we do and would like to like us on Facebook. Like to like it. Jings. What a turn of phrase. Anyway, thank you for watching, and please join me for my next video. Thank you.